Good evening. I want to welcome you to the next episode of A Time for Truth. And while our world is becoming increasingly technologically complex and hectic, sometimes it seems that we're beset by a sea of information that leaves us more confused than anything. Our understanding seems to diminish, but unfortunately, our stress increases. Tonight, we're going to divert from that trend. We're honored to have with us tonight a man who has tremendous expertise and training in managing varied aspects of life. Mr. Francesco Arlia, husband and father of five, certified public accountant, certified global management accountant, certified tax coach, author, athlete, entrepreneur of many businesses, renowned humanitarian, and most of all, really, what's so important tonight is innovative problem solver. Frank's life purpose has been to search, test, document, and deliver technologies which actually improve the health, nutrition, food quality, decrease drug usage because of increased health, and restore quality of life. Tonight, we're going to discuss his Harvest Harmonics frequency approach technology to a healthier agriculture, how to grow plants in a healthier organic way, and how to get better results and better nutrition as results. Hello, Frank.
Hello.
Welcome to A Time for Truth.
Thank you. Thank you for that incredible introduction. I was listening to you and I was starting to blush, and I'm like, okay, let's get some oxygen going because I don't want to be on a red cherry pepper and on your beautiful screen. So, how are you,
I
Dr.
don't think that's
Galko?
going to happen. You know what? When I was researching how much you've done, it was very interesting. So really, I just picked out some cherries out of the whole orchard. So what I want to do is, tell our viewers a little bit about you, where you grew up, and your mission.
Sure. Well, I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York, and then I transferred out to Staten Island and to Staten Island, New York, where I opened up my accounting firm. And service has always been who I've been. I've always been about service. And as a young lad and young adult, and then even as a dad, I made sure that every 2 years we traveled to Italy, and I spent time on my grandparents' farms and farmland, and I made that a habit. And I think what's happened over the years is I picked up the purpose line of my grandfather, who was an inventor, and he invented tools for the farmers in his town. And in his town in Italy, they have a little museum, that was dedicated to him. It's a small museum, probably the size of a New York City garage, well, maybe two garages. But I admired that he was such a popular guy who really just helped his community. And over the years, I've tried to do that in my own profession as a CPA, and I became pretty good in my profession. But about 7 years ago, by a complete accident, I discovered a technology in the farming arena, in the agricultural arena, that wasn't ready for commercial production, and I connected up with this medical group, because this technology actually came out of a medical group, and I took on the responsibility of completing the research and development and funding all of the research and development so that this technology can come to fruition and help to feed the world. And it worked out really well, because the actual inventor of the technology and myself, we were very like-minded, service-oriented, wanting to help people, wanting to help the farming community, because his logic as a medical researcher was that if you can deliver good quality food to people, then they will be healthier. And that was the simplicity of it. Just good quality food will make them healthier, and they could avoid sickness. And then, you know, old age is old age, and eventually we all break down. But this concept of dying young from all these diseases would dissipate, and that was, you know, his intention, and I loved it. And I'm like, okay, good, sign me up, let's go. So I did something that was kind of bold. I turned over my accounting firm in New York to my staff. I trained them up while I moved to Florida so I could be connected up with farmers and working with farmers while this research and development was being done. So over time, I trained my staff. They would run the accounting firm, and I took on a whole new life. It's almost like starting over. I basically, at 45 years old, I started my life completely over and dedicated it all to farming. So
amazing story. You know what? There's a beautiful video that actually goes over a little bit of this. So, Peter, can you put that video on for our viewers, please?
Oh yeah, you'll love.
Wow. All I can say is wow. What you and Fulvio have put together is amazing. You know, the way you take nature and life and in that video. Wow. I wanted to ask you a question because you had talked to me about how you work through frequency and how the plants actually get this frequency, and I got a kick out of it. It's like almost like your favorite rock band or Frank Sinatra's Thinking My Way. So how does this work, Frank?
Okay. Oh, you kill me. First of all, that video that you just watched was a gift from the inventor, Fulvio Balmelli's marketing team, and his wife got together to recognize him for what he had done for so many years. And so they gave that to him, and it brought tears to his eyes. Now, as far as the technology itself, I'm going to give you a little overview. But the reality is, I sent you another video that you really should play because it will better explain, and lead up to what was developed. But this is a signaling system. Just think of it this way. It's a low radio wave signaling system. There are over 3,000 signals that directly relate to plants, okay, and their entire environment, from photosynthesis to digestion to water to soil. And it just takes what's naturally happening in the environment and completely enhances it. Okay, so we're not doing anything more than enhancing the natural environment of the plants. But I think this other video, which I'll take credit for because I actually produced this video with the team of mine years ago as a starting point of communicating how this technology works.
Well, you know what? Let's put the video on. I'm all excited to see it because I'm all pumped up already. So, Peter, let's put on this other video and hope it doesn't blow up the whole studio. Go ahead.
Since the beginning of time, communication in all forms has been the one most universal solution to the world's most difficult problems. Over 5,000 years ago, the Egyptians started to write out its first messages to communicate with each other. By the 6th century, the Persian king Cyrus the Great officially starting to use mail as a means of communicating long distance. Moving forward to 1837, we find the first electrical telegraph was created by Samuel Morse, which began a whole new era in communication with Morse code. 1876 brought us the first glimpse at a telephone, with the help of inventors Antonio Meucci and Alexander Bell. They showed us that communication over a long distance was no longer a barrier. In 1927, Philo Farnsworth and his team expanded communication into a new age with his invention of the television, and with it, the ability to reach the masses worldwide. In 1973, Martin Cooper, an executive with Motorola, developed the first practical cell phone and opened up the mobile communication highway. This started the explosive age of mobile communication that is continuously expanding on a daily basis. By 1983, the start of the internet as we know it now was just beginning to take form through inventor Vinton Cerf's research and would soon become the most active means of communication to date. The internet now encompasses and affects every industry and mankind worldwide. We are surrounded by communication. We survive through communication, and we have expanded as a society as we have expanded our horizons through communication. From the oceanographers that are communicating to the deepest depths of our oceans to NASA reaching galaxies far away, mankind has evolved, expanded, and survived in the direction of increasing its methods of communication. In the year 2015, Fulvio Balmelli and his research team at Biomedics Center in Como, Italy have achieved and perfected the next evolution in communication. Throughout 30 years of research in the field of biophysics, Mr. Balmelli has translated most of what was already scientifically known in the field of chemistry into biophysical language. In fact, biophysics approaches biological problems through the physical sciences. Fulvio Balmelli's technology develops through algorithms, namely systematic calculation procedures. These algorithms are made up of wave packets, which correspond to the actual different biophysical signals, capable of promoting the vital processes of living things in a completely natural and non-invasive way. Currently, our planet is suffering with the overuse of fertilizers, herbicides, soil conditioners, and pesticides that are damaging our plants, our ecosystems, our food supply, and our environment. Farmers have come to rely on these aggressive and costly methods to meet the demands of the public at large, while the repercussions are seen in the nutrient-deprived food we now consume. Thousands of universities, organizations, and companies all over the world are working diligently to find better solutions for all these problems, and we are thankful for their hard work. However, the solutions discovered are not viable enough or have not provided any long-term benefits to the ever-growing problems of our farmers. Additionally, the problems of our continuously deteriorating environment and growing population of people to feed has not been solved, and mankind is suffering. So the question becomes, how do we increase the production of our farms, the quality of our food, and the safety of our planet, while still maintaining a pure organic system for our consumption? The answer was a simple approach by Fulmio Baumelli to observe some very natural environments which verified that the plants, bugs, earth, and the environment together at one time was producing very well completely on its own, without human interference. He then continued to investigate the details of all the diverse communication signals of the plant's ecological system. After 10 years of intense research, he discovered not only their very specific algorithm patterns, but also exactly what patterns of wave packets would maximize their own potential to produce, increase their nutrient levels, and extend their lifespan. At this moment in time, we have a microtransmitter that contains whole algorithms of wave packets to stimulate the metabolism and photosynthesis process of each plant, causing it to become a natural, self-regulating life form that perfects its own ecosystem. We have proven to ourselves through our commercial testing farms and gardens that we are growing plants with a greater presence of vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. We now know that we can grow plants of any type and size stronger, faster, and healthier for all mankind. Our goal is to restore the plant world to its original ecological system and increase its efficiency of photosynthesis, which has been altered over time from factors such as pollution, acid rain, pesticides, herbicides, soil conditioners, and chemicals of any type. These restoring processes bring greater quality and healthier products for human and animal food consumption. While the advantages of this technology are endless in the world of farming, growing, and cultivation, Organic Earth has taken this monumental breakthrough one step further. It is our goal and our duty as an organization to bring greater health to humans globally. We are the future of farming, and we have selected you to be part of this incredible adventure. Come join us and experience for yourself just how big of an impact one simple decision to change your farm can make. We know and understand that seeing is believing, and it all starts here.
Amazing.
Yeah, I just realized that when it was loaded up, there must have been some time delay because it was off in the verbiage with the actual pictures, but the concept is the same. I mean, basically, we've developed, and I would say Fulvio Baumelli developed a microtransmitter system that works phenomenal. I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal. Me being the CEO, I have the pleasure of delivering it worldwide, and that's where my task comes in. And we're on the runway we've already started delivering the technology to approximately 16 countries right now, and we're on the runway in 6 others. So we'll be up to 22 countries within the next 4 months, actual producing, generating sales and getting more and more farmers using the technology. And the results that we're getting, the feedback we're getting is phenomenal. We recently hired a science team in Colombia. We're working with one of the best science teams in Israel, and there are more and more science teams coming on board. We just started recently interviewing right here in the States because of the expansion that we're doing locally. So it's growing. It's growing. It's exciting. And our greatest, for me personally, the greatest feeling is when we get a phone call from the farmer and he says, "Hey, I did what you told me to do. It worked. I want more." I want to buy for the next 100 acres. I want to buy for the next 50 acres. I'm going to recommend you to all my farmer friends. And it's like, and that's what's happening. And so it's a wonderful feeling. It's that service. You're here to serve. You're here to take care of, the public. And ultimately all this benefit in the food industry comes to the public. And that is important for myself, for Mr. Balmelli, and for everybody else in the company. We're looking
Absolutely.
forward.
Frank, what I was going to say to you, that as I was watching it, so many of us today are looking for food that's organic, free of toxins, free of pesticides. So many people talk to me now, and they're aware of how different diseases from these metals and different chemicals that unfortunately have gotten into our water system, into our food system. I was going to ask you, it's amazing to me, what does this food must taste different? No, what does this food taste like?
The food absolutely tastes amazing, but it also it's a combination of the removal of certain additives and the increased nutrient that the plants are pulling, out of the soil. So it's, the lettuce is thicker and crispier. We've had mangoes. We've actually had farmers mail us a box of plums, sending us melons, sending us squash, ship us tomatoes. I mean, just so we can taste some of the benefits. So it's been interesting. But even on the show, I sent you some videos that you could play regarding, that I went to the farmer. I took a video crew and I went to Washington State to go visit one of my favorite farmers. His name is Heinemann. We spent 3 days with him, and all we did was explore every inch of his farm. And then, towards the last day, I said, Art, you've been so phenomenal. I want to cook for you because I love to cook. So I said, why don't we go into the garden, into your farm, and and just pick a bunch of stuff. And I made him this amazing eggplant lasagna, because all he eats is whatever comes off the farm.
Right.
So it was a good time. I mean, ultimately, the food is tastier. Absolutely tastier. Our goal is that we just give it to the farmers. We don't tell them what to do. We don't enforce any of our ideas on them. We give it to the farmers. We promise them 100% satisfaction. We guarantee our technology and what it's going to deliver, but we leave it to them. Eventually, they're calling us and saying, hey, I'm realizing, I did the comparison like you told me, put it on half the farm and not the other half of the farm, and then look at the two differences. And I realized I don't need to use as much fertilizer. Is that recommended? And they said, well, it's your farm. You know best. You know better than us. If you don't think you need additional fertilizer, then cut back on your fertilizer and save yourself some money. And so that's what they wind up doing. They wind up, cutting back on fertilizers. Then they realize, hey, I'm not, pesticides have become so expensive. You don't realize how expensive they are. You're talking about a chemical that runs $42 to $68 an acre. That's a lot of money for a farmer. And so these pesticides are super expensive. All of a sudden, they start using our technology and they start noticing there's less bugs. So the farmers got smart over the years. Rather than just general spraying, because it's so expensive, they only went out with spot sprayers. In other words, if you see a spot where there's bugs, you spray. If you don't, leave it alone, because it saves them money. Well, now they're reporting back to us that, hey, we're saving money on pesticides because we're noticing less spots, like less problems. Is that normal? Say, well, we've noticed it also, but it's your farm and you should run your farm accordingly. we really stay out of their business. It's their business. We just give them a technology that's going to help them overall. The rest is up to them. So our end goal is that over time, there's little to no pesticides being used. There's little to no additives being used. There's little to no nitrogen additives and excessive fertilizer, which is also damaging our water and our environment, and that's a whole nother subject. But we're starting to notice this on a very small scale. We've only launched as of October 2019, so in 16 months we've done a pretty good job in getting ourselves into 16 countries right now, with 6 others on the runway.
Amazing. I mean, that's very well done. I was going to ask you a question, because you're welcome. I was going to ask you a question because I was reading and I was preparing for your show, and I saw something online and I really got very concerned.
Okay.
Because online, as I researched more and more, it talked about this citrus and how oranges were decreasing at a drastic rate. And
you're talking about citrus greening.
What's that?
You're talking about citrus greening.
Yeah, I said, how come nobody? I said, wow, we should be talking about this. We talk about so many things in the news and the media. I said, how can? So what is citrus greening?
Okay, so I've done an extensive amount of research in this area. I've actually I donated a $1 million grant to the citrus industry with the hope that our technology would help salvage their farms. Oh, that picture you have up, that's a grant that we did for Puerto Rico recently. That's another $1 million grant, $1 million technology grant that we did for Puerto Rico. That was for a different cause. That there is for the revival of Puerto Rico, because it's been destroyed by 2 hurricanes now and all these earthquakes. But yeah, that's part of what we do. We've donated a lot of our technology to help industries, but we did that for the citrus industry. And I won't pronounce the actual word for the HLB, which is the nickname, the abbreviation of the virus, which we, not the virus, but the disease that we call citrus greening. And so what citrus greening is a weakening of the citrus trees, be it oranges, tangerines, grapefruit. Okay. And what happens is you would see, have you ever seen an orange where half of it is the color orange and the other half is the color green, or portions of it are green? And you won't see them really in the stores, but you'll see them at an orange grove if you're driving by one. And so what's happening is this psyllus, it's called a psyllus bug. Okay, it's an Asian bug that originally came out of China. Nobody knows how it got into the country, but it did. And it's gotten into South America, Central America. Brazil is suffering from this. And now it's affecting California and Texas badly. So, but Florida got hit really bad, the worst ever, the worst out of all of them. And what's basically happened since it originally arrived in 1998, and it was really first identified as a major problem in 2005, is the psyllus infects the trees through the leaves and the branches, and then eventually the disease gets into the heart, and the central system of the trunk of the tree, and it works its way down to the roots, and it starts to deteriorate the root system. And once you deteriorate the root system, it's like suffocating. It's like somebody choking an individual, right? They suffocate. They can't breathe. Well, here the tree can't get nutrients out of the soil because of the suffocation that's being created by this disease, and and basically the tree chokes out over time, and it takes years and years. And so if I tell you that the industry has suffered so much, it's an understatement. 90% of all the citrus in Florida is infected. Okay. I think that's probably an accurate statement. You can go to several websites and verify that data, but it's a problem. It's a serious problem. What we did is, when we donated this $1 million of technology, we were hoping that it would help the tree, to recover to some degree. But the industry overall, they're going a different direction. What they're doing now is they're redesigning their groves. They're ripping out their trees, the ones that are already past the point of return or continued existence. In other words, they try and give them as much nutrients as they can manually through their irrigation system. And when the trees still aren't producing enough, they know what the cost benefit is and at what point they're losing money. And so that's when they decide, okay, it's time to just rip out all the trees and replant new ones. Well, where we're now focusing our attention is giving them our technology, of course, in exchange for compensation, but showing them that with our technology, the tree, as a baby tree, can get additional nutrients naturally from the soil using our signaling system, and basically increase its root structure so it's more resistant to any disease, not just citrus greening. The reason why I'm so confident about that, and then we can help them, is because in South America, specifically in Chile and Peru and Colombia, we've had our technology, our system, which is, by the way, it's called the Kyminasi Plant Booster, right? Mm-hmm. We've had it installed on tree farms, cherry trees, plums, lemons, tangerines, oranges. So what we've noticed, all the scientists, agronomists on those fields, is that the root structure is increasing root structure by 30, 40, 50%. I mean, it's incredible how much more root structure. And the only reason why we know is because they actually dig up some of the trees right next to the trees and start comparing the fields with the technology, with the Kyminasi Plant Booster, to the control fields without the Kyminasi Plant Booster. And the only reason why they're even doing it is because they notice a difference above ground. So they're seeing additional flowering, additional fruiting above ground. And logically, the agronomist is a scientist. He says, okay, if it's happening above ground, we should see the same effects below ground. So they dig up the ground to compare the root structure. And they notice with our Kyminasi Plant Booster, there's a lot more root structure. And so we know that, we can do this for the citrus industry. And we expect that within the next year and a half, we're going to help them to restructure the industry, because it is looking very grim for them, and saving themselves against the current condition is almost an impossibility. They really do need to just restart. They have to do a reset. They literally have to take out older groves, put in new ones. And financially, it's actually not a bad deal for them. It's a long-term reset, because think about it, right? If 50 years ago, 80 years ago, you planted all your groves, what happens is eventually those trees come to the end of their life, right? So 40 years later, they're starting to die off. Now you have to rip them out and plant new trees. Well, that means you go 5, 6 years without any income, because those trees need time to mature before they start to produce. So what the farmers are doing now is they're taking out sections. One section, they're ripping it out, planting new trees. The next year, another section, planting new trees. The next year, another section, planting new trees. So when they do this for 7 years, it'll be good, because when the time comes that they have to replace those groves, they'll do it in the same order, so they'll never be without income. So they're being really smart about the way they do this, because ultimately they really don't have much of a choice. It's either that or go out of business. And I could tell you, I don't know the number offhand, but probably more than 50% have gone out of business.
Amazing.
Yeah,
that's horrific. Is this something?
It's really, really sad.
I can see that. Is this something that's limited to certain areas, or is it worldwide?
No, it's interesting enough. There's certain oranges that are much further up north, like in the Tallahassee area and in the Panhandle, that don't really have that problem. It's a different type of orange, but the main oranges in North Florida, not the top of Florida, but North Florida, Central Florida, and South Florida are all infected. If you went to there's a website.
This is so important, because with oranges, oranges, grapefruit, lemon, the vitamin C.
Yeah, you're talking about vitamin C.
Yeah, it's really so important, though, that we handle this, because with the vitamin C, you're talking about something with the immune system, with our healing. As a surgeon, I always recommend people to take a little more vitamin C while they're healing, vitamin B, certain vitamins that we need. I mean, this is something that really, I'm glad that we're having you on the show, because it's really something that we need to look at together. Because if you really look at it, even from the standpoint, even when I was a kid, I grew up and I watched the orange juice commercials. But really, when you look at it, it's like it's a staple of our diet and very important nutrition.
Absolutely. I mean, personally, I drink orange juice every day. At least a half a glass to a glass. I drink orange juice every day. And so, but that's me. I don't know if that's most Americans, but it's a healthy supply of natural vitamin C.
Well, that makes sense. I was going to ask you something, because if I was watching this, I would go, so we're going to play music for a plant, and they're going to do better, and this sounds so good, and it's so hot pie in the sky. I would say, well, show me something. Show me some results. And I know you told me that you've been doing this with so many different farmers and whatever. So, what I was going to say is, why don't we play? I know you have some videos you provided for the show. I'd love to play the first one to hear what some of these farmers have to say.
Absolutely. But let me just clarify one thing. It's super important, Doc, that there's no confusion about what we're doing. It's literally, they're radio waves, and they're synchronized in a very specific way, so that we absolutely it's a science. We're not playing music for the plants, although that would be so cool.
I couldn't resist, because here you have plants acting like human beings, communicating, and I can't resist looking at it as a doctor, because I go, it's amazing how nature has us communicate.
It's a signaling system within nature that we've tapped into, and that's really what it is. But it's their signaling system. We just develop the equipment in order to tap into it, and then duplicate it and enhance it. Okay, play the next video. You'll enjoy it.
Let's play the video. Go ahead, Peter.
So we're here at Art. This is Art Heinemann, by the way. He's our most famous farmer, and quite honestly, he's the only farmer that has adapted our technology and used it consistently for 3 years in a row. And today we're here in the middle of his farm, and we're going to go, all through the entire farm. And we're going to learn all about his farm, and we're going to learn about Art and what he's been doing. And what we want to do is we want to go, fruit by fruit, vegetable by vegetable.
Okay.
Taste them, do bricks testing on them.
Right.
Gather some information about them.
Right.
And then we're going to do our own little research to find out how does that compare what you're doing.
Yeah.
And your know-how and your techniques along with our technology. How does that compare to the average?
Yeah. I'd like to know too.
In a pretty interesting manner.
Yeah.
Because it's there, the trellis is there.
Yeah.
And all the grapes are growing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of grapes.
There's a lot of grapes in there. Yeah.
I can't stop eating these things.
Well, good. That's what it's all about. But these have not achieved their full potential. But they're already good.
When are they supposed to be ready?
I would say, maybe in a week or so.
All right, let's just pick one and test it.
Yeah, let's pick one.
All right, here we go. All right. So, you're the master. You tell me what it says. Man, these things are just falling off. Delicious.
Well, it's already 19. And they're not as sweet as they're going to get. They're going to be well over 20. I would guess they'll probably be 25.
What kind of grapes are these?
Those are a variety called Suffolk Reds.
Tell us, what was the most impressive thing that's happened over the last 3 years since you've been using Harvest Harmonics technology?
The new growth.
The new growth.
The new growth was beyond belief. It was it was totally unexpected. I think they have grown. I've never pruned them, but when you prune it back to practically nothing and then it grows, it's very impressive.
So, you pruned all of this back to nothing.
Not completely nothing, just about about 4 arms per plant.
Okay, and they were on the floor.
They had been.
And now, this is what grew this year.
Yeah, this is what grew this year.
And the only thing you changed was?
The only thing we changed was the water.
The technology.
Yeah, I haven't foliar fed them. We haven't fertilized them. We haven't done anything.
You didn't fertilize them or foliar feed them like you've done the rest of the farm?
No. The rest of the farm I've done, yeah. This is kind of like a sideshow here. But we like grapes, though.
Okay.
Well, you're Italian. You're going to love those grapes, right?
I'm going to tell you something. Those grapes were delicious. I must have eaten that day. I must have eaten about 2 pounds of grapes. Here's the interesting part. That wasn't our first experience. It was our first feedback, but wasn't our first experience. At the same time, we were launching in Peru, and the grape growers in Peru, they've been measuring 56% increase in production.
Wow.
43% increase in production. In Chile, 62% increase in production. But not only that, these guys in South America, they don't do like scientific testing. So we had to coerce them into doing scientific testing. Say, listen, we want you to do the tests. We'll pay for them. Just do the tests. So finally, after balking, some of these farmers did the tests. You know what they discovered?
No.
The nutrient density of our grapes was higher than their standard grapes. So you know what they did?
Wow.
They sold them on the open market for, I think it was 54 cents a kilo more. The farmer made on 1 hectare, an extra $11,000 between the increase in production and the increase in the price that he charged because they were better quality. He was able to sell them in a premium market. And so, now the farmers are testing. Now they listen to us, So it's interesting because now we have a lot more results in grapes. And we're starting with grape growers. We just recently started with grape growers in California. And California is a huge market for grapes.
Right.
So it's better quality, better tasting, and you hear it from the farmer himself. But I've got so many videos like this just with Art's farm. You should play the unless you have any questions, you should play the next one because he's
I love watching him and hearing you two guys having a great time. Let's watch the next video.
Yeah, because he's definitely more entertaining than I am.
I
probably 10 to 12 plant on the plant, and those can get like a pound. So you say you've got 12 pounds, and they're worth $2.50 a pound. So that's $30 worth of fruit. I have 2,000 plants, and if each one gave 12, I'd have 25,000. I'd have $50,000 worth of eggplant if I could sell it all. But I don't know how to sell that much in my market that I've got.
Okay.
I don't know how to sell it all. Farmer friend Annie, she's a great farmer. She's a far smarter. She's way smarter in marketing than me, you know. But she says, but my plants, they're not dark green, you know. I don't have that problem.
Everything
These
is
are dark.
green.
These are dark green.
Yeah.
This looks like I poured green paint on them, or some super fertilizer, which I didn't do. The only thing I did other than a standard application of cattle manure-based compost was I do foliar feeding. Plus the exotic high technology. And I think, and everybody laughs when I tell them about the exotic high technology. They think it's a joke, you know. but it's not a joke, no.
The color is definitely impressive, but I don't know that. What is impressing me is it's September 5th.
Right.
And you have flowering going on.
Yeah.
On every single plant, there is flowering going on.
Yes. I learned that a long time ago peddling fruit in Canada, that the difference between a regular apple and like an extra fancy apple, there was only one thing that made a difference. It was the intensity of the color. An apple could be red, but it wasn't an intense red, and only the intense red would qualify as an extra fancy apple. You know, so this has some of the intensity that you would associate with extra fancy stuff. You know?
Nice.
Yeah. They look like they just begun. Yeah, I don't know if I'll get any more yield because that's determined by the length of my growing season, you know. But it's telling me that there's untapped potential here, because they look like they're full of life, full of vigor.
We've got healthy green plush plants.
Right.
You've been harvesting like mad because you've already harvested these 3 times.
Yeah, 3 times.
So you're having a damn good season.
I would say, yeah. Even if I have more eggplant than I can sell at this point, so it's good enough, regardless of. But nobody has complained about my product. If there's a reason they don't buy it, has nothing to do with the quality of my stuff, because it's beyond reproach. In every way, you know, you couldn't ask for better in visual beauty and in perfection of and coloring and everything. It's without flaw.
Yours are literally perfect.
They're literally about as perfect as any growing thing could be on this planet.
Unbelievable.
That is the eggplant that I made this eggplant lasagna with. It was to die for. It was delicious. I ate 3 plates that day. You know, I mean, it was really amazing. You know, he mentions he grew more than he could sell. You know, we wind up giving this farmer, and he's not the first one. We've given farmers a problem they never had before. You know, they're now producing more than they bargained for. They didn't realize they were going to produce. I mean, you give a farmer an extra 30, 40, 50% in production, and he's not prepared for a market to deliver that. And it's like, so I told him, I said, look, you got to go into the pickling. You got to connect up with a manufacturer locally that does pickling, because you can pickle the cucumbers into sliced pickles. You know, like, you ever see those large pickles?
Yeah.
He had, I can't tell you how many hundreds and hundreds of pounds of cucumbers went to waste. I said, you could have given them to a pickling company. You know, the eggplant, you know, the Italian delicacy campanata? It's made with eggplant. Like, get that to some of the Italian Salameria stores. They'll turn that eggplant into campanata, get it all canned and bottled. I mean, you got to start finding new markets, because you're going to start producing, you know, more than what you normally sell, until you have the time to open up new markets. And we gave him the same problem this year, because his farm improved again. He's gone up on this farm. He's gone up. It was statistically, the first year he went up by 50%. Okay. And then the second year he went up another 17% above that. So that was 67% over a 2-year period. And then this year, I won't know the numbers until probably another month or so, because the way he measures everything is by his total income. So he goes, what was the total amount of money that I made? So he doesn't measure how much did he lose because he didn't have the market to sell. He only measures how much he sold.
But the potential actually, if you look at it nationwide, and if you take a look at this increased production, and where you have a large percentage of the world having such a problem with hunger and famine, and you look at it and what your technology could do in these areas is just the potential for humanity and to help these people, and then these people now have a job and they can produce and they can provide for the people in their community, and then the fact that it's more nutritious, more than likely. I'm sure you're going to study that more and more, but it seems to me it stands to chance. If it's grown with less toxicity, it's going to be healthier for you. So the upswing of this is tremendous. Wow. I want to watch another. I want to watch another one of these videos. Do you have some more here or what, Peter? You have any more?
There's definitely more videos. I sent. No, I've never seen it before.
Look at that. Look at that. Man, these are beautiful. See, I don't remember ever getting the beauty of the size and the shape, the perfect 4 lobes and the thick flesh. This is a different for me.
Oh my God! That fell off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 16, 17.
Now, if you sold them for 50 cents a piece, you'd have $8 on one plant. Wow. Okay.
There's 17 peppers on this plant, and there's 14 of the 17 that are big.
Big. And I can truthfully say I've never had that beautiful of peppers. It has the characteristics. Characteristics that it was genetically programmed to have.
So it's natural genetics.
It's natural genetics.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
There's a little pepper here.
Yeah. It's.
Oh my!
They don't appear to be getting tired.
No, they're definitely not getting tired.
Right.
I mean, it's safe to say there's probably another 20.
Yeah, there's probably 20
little blossoms that are going to start on that.
Yeah. I have never ever noticed that thick of a trunk.
So
that we got a tree starting here.
Because it's true. You're looking at these trees. Now you got me calling them trees. You're looking at these plants and the thickness.
It's announcing to the world that I am a tree. I'm not just an annual. I'm a perennial.
Look at that.
I am a perennial. Look at my woody stem. Look at my woody trunk.
And you think that would wood up?
Yeah.
It's actually formed like
wood. Yeah, that's what I think. It's already wood. The complex juice. There. Now I expect it to be up there. Yes.
What is it?
That made the difference. Now we've got 10.
Wow. Yeah. So, for anyone who doesn't know what a refractometer is, it's a it does a Brix measurement. It tells you what the sugar content is of the fruit or vegetable. 10 for a pepper is like huge. Oranges right now they're hoping to get 7.
Wow.
Yeah. So we had 10 on a pepper.
On a pepper.
On a pepper.
Orange.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just giving you a comparison because the citrus industry was so beat up. The oranges aren't as sweet anymore because they don't have the trees don't have a lot of energy because they're not getting enough energy out of the soil, And then you heard me go, wow, when I was talking about the peppers because I was blown away. I know a little bit about farming, from Italy and stuff. I've never seen pepper plants with so many peppers on them. was like, for me, it was mind-boggling. And so I was just I was in awe at what our technology actually did. I mean, I was expecting it, but when you actually see it, you're kind of proud of yourself. You know, you can't help but be proud. And so now, remember, we counted like 16, 17 peppers on that one plant. This is towards the end of the season. It's September already. He's already harvested these things, early on. He's already picked peppers off of them. And there's flowering going on. So if he was in a warmer climate, he would have gotten more peppers out of it.
He'd go on and on and on.
And
but you know what? You're not going to say is we could go on, and we'll have to have another show, but we're coming to the end here. So I wanted to ask you something because I see your mission. I'm really blown away by the results. I'm so happy that some technology exists for this. So what I wanted to ask you is there anything that you want to relay to the people watching this show that comes from you that you would want to tell them?
That's a great question. And look, anyone knows that change comes from the masses. Change comes from the consumer. When the consumer wants something, they demand it, they will get it. If they don't demand it, they'll never get it, because what happens is the food chain starts from that point. Somebody wants a special type of cell phone. Guess what? Someone's going to produce it, and it happens that way. Well, the public, what I would like from your listeners and people watching your show is that they start asking for Kyminasi vegetables, Kyminasi technology. Start asking for producers, that they want fruits and vegetables grown from farmers that are using Kyminasi technology, because that's going to be healthier fruits and vegetables. And if that's what the public wants, healthier fruits and vegetables, and ultimately, because of the mass production that we can provide, the pricing should go down, not up, because if you have a lot more peppers and a lot more mangoes and a lot more cherries, you shouldn't be raising your prices. You should be lowering your prices, because
right.
you're making more pounds per square mile or per square acre. So the bottom line is, our goal is to bring the best quality products for health purposes to the consumer, but the consumer needs to demand this, and soon we're going to be coming up with an app where they can actually start finding out which farmers are doing it.
Well, Frank, I really got to tell you, it was great show. Unfortunately, we're running out of time.
Understood.
But I know there's going to be another show we're going to do in the future. I think it's unbelievable, and I think it's beautiful technology, and it shows how it's so interesting how when we do and we cooperate as nature, how things just happen. So I want to thank you for being on the show, and for the viewers out there, it's a time for truth, 2021. Thank you, Mr. Frank Arlia on Harvest Harmonics, and we will see you next Monday night. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.